Namaskar. The topic is biopsychology of yoga. We are discussing chakras, and today is second chakra, called Swadhisthana Chakra in Sanskrit. Swadhisthana means one's own dwelling, one's own home, place of living. And also Swadhisth means to taste with delight, to enjoy. So in one way, Swadhisthana is very much concerned with the idea of pleasure, and also it represents our dwelling place, the place from where we begin, from where our evolution starts. But of course you may say that, Dada, you have explained that there are 7 chakras, and Swadhisthana Chakra is the second one, and first one is Muladhara. Yes, Muladhara Chakra is there, and Muladhara Chakra contains 4 propensities. They are desires for happiness, for different types of happiness. But they all express through different chakras. They sprout from the Muladhara Chakra, but they find their fulfillment at all other 6 chakras. In Muladhara Chakra itself, only the physical desire expresses. And what is physical desire? Physical desire is to procure necessary physical objects for our survival. We are seeking for food, seeking for security, seeking to promote to procreate, and we seeking to rest. So this is the functions of Muladhara Chakra. But Swadhisthana Chakra is somewhat more expanded. Here, at the level of Swadhisthana Chakra, we seek not only to eat, but to obtain pleasure from eating, and so on. So Swadhisthana Chakra is more already, is the mind. It's not like a purely physical desire. It is mind who is desiring physical enjoyment. So Swadhisthana Chakra is a little bit further step in our evolutionary process. Okay, so pleasure is like it is a center of pleasure. Swadhisthana Chakra controls liquid factor. The quality of water is to flow, is to go around different obstacles, to smoothen the sharp edges. So when that element within us is strong, is controlled, then we become very psychological. We know how to go around the sharp edges. We understand the psychology. We understand the emotional expressions of other people. We know how other people feel, and we can somehow make ourselves in tune with other people, if that is strong. And that if it is weak, if the Swadhisthana Chakra is weak, then exactly the opposite happens. Person is moving and breaking everything around him. So liquid element of the body. Muladhara Chakra controls solid, Swadhisthana liquid, Manipura Chakra fiery element, Anahata Chakra aerial element, and then here is ethereal element. Swadhisthana is located about 6 fingers below the navel point, about at the root of genital organ. So it is connected with reproductive system and urinary system, excretion system. That is why it is associated with the functions of reproductive system. The glands, gonads, ovaries, they are all under control of Swadhisthana Chakra. Swadhisthana Chakra, being controller of the liquid factor, has a lot to do with the liquids of the body, with the lymph, with the urine, with the reproductive liquids. And the health of the system also depends on the balance within the Swadhisthana Chakra, with the emotional balance of the Swadhisthana Chakra. And I have observed it through my eyes, with my own experience of I've seen when people are suffering from imbalanced emotional energies of the Swadhisthana Chakra, that mental imbalance also is expressing through the physical sicknesses of the reproductive area, such as the distortion of the menstrual cycle, the pain during the women's cycle, infertility, impotency, and so on, all these kinds of troubles. And also by balancing the emotions, by balancing the energies of Swadhisthana Chakra, one is restoring the health of the reproductive system. So very, very important. And the health is actually built in the reproductive system. That, the liquid factor, it gives beauty. It gives beauty. And when the strong Swadhisthana Chakra, it reflects in the physical vibrancy. The person is just, beautiful to look upon. It's so fresh and so nice and so beautiful and so harmonious. And also, Swadhisthana Chakra is connected with the sense of taste. So taste. Taste is a feeling of the tongue, but also taste, you can say, taste in your clothes, in your taste and everything. Just the person will have a sense of beauty. Everything will be a style. Everywhere will be a taste. So, strong Swadhisthana Chakra gives a tactful, psychological person. It gives a beautiful person. It gives a person a sense of beauty also. The person himself or herself is beautiful. There is this, emanation of beauty from the face, from somehow the entire expression is pleasant to look upon. And then the sense of taste is there, so person can cook a good food. He understands about the harmony. So that is strong Swadhisthana Chakra. And the weak Swadhisthana Chakra is just the opposite. Around Swadhisthana Chakra, there are 6 propensities. 6 propensities. They represent survival instincts, and they represent the psychology of reptiles. The animal symbolism of Swadhisthana Chakra in Muladhara was what? Black elephant, powerful energy. In Swadhisthana Chakra is a crocodile. You know crocodile, how they how they behave. It's kind of brutish force. Very powerful, but very selfish. And they're representing the psychology of the reptiles. Reptilian psychology is to live, to take advantage of the objects of the world around, but not so much to give to the world around. There is no expression of care, there is no expression of love in the reptiles. The reptiles, they may deliver and eat their own offspring. No? The snakes, they will deliver, and some snakes, they give the eggs, some snakes, immediately the little snakes are there, and the snake will just eat those eggs or that offspring. So there is no really love, there is no care for the world, even for their own offsprings. So it is only the Swadhisthana Chakra emotions, they seek to obtain pleasure from the objects, to utilize everything and everyone, and not to give anything in return. That is the psychology. So 6 emotions are there. The symbolism is crocodile. If you observe the crocodile, if you observe the reptiles, you will understand the functions of Swadhisthana Chakra. Okay, let us see what are those emotions. First one is prashraya vritti. Prashraya means pleasure-seeking tendency. If balanced, then we receive pleasure in a balanced way. We enjoy the world, but we are not becoming dependent of it. We may enjoy, we may engage ourselves into something pleasurable, but we also able to withdraw ourselves from that activity. But when the Swadhisthana Chakra is weak, person is just unable to control his vritti of pleasure seeking. All kinds of dependencies, all kinds of addictions, they are due to the weakness of Swadhisthana Chakra. Alcoholism, smoking, drug addiction, sex addiction, gaming addiction, gambling addiction, sugar addiction, computer game, internet addictions, all this, they're just different faces of one problem. And that problem is of the weakness of Swadhisthana Chakra. And of course there will be other vrittis also, because if the center is the nucleus is weak, then the periphery will go out of balance. If the chakra itself is weak, then the petals, they will not be able to maintain balance. They will express without a harmony. Okay. Then you will see also, if the person has one tendency of Swadhisthana Chakra out of balance, then all other 5 also, they time to time they express themselves. Another one is called Disdain. Disdain means you look down on other people. You try to be the boss and make others underdog. This type of people, they enjoy putting others down because that gives them some sense of confidence. Everyone is stupid, so I must be smart. If I can be smart only if everyone else is stupid. And in their idea of the world, it is like that. There cannot be equality. There has to be a domination. These people feel very, very insecure among the beautiful people, smart people, resourceful people. They feel very, very insecure. So they try to find the company of the stupid and dominate over them. So that is the called disdain vritti. Then there is distrust. Distrust. That is the third one. First of all, it is deep in confidence. You do not believe in yourself. Inferiority complex. Inferiority complex is a dreadful complication in the mind. Inferiority complex prevents us from doing something worthy. We have to fight with that inferiority complex tooth and nail. We should not ever allow this inferiority complex creep in our mind. And that is coming from that vritti of inconfidence. You're feeling yourself worthless. Really deep within, there is the feeling of worthless. Oh, I am not really a good person. I am not smart enough. I am not strong enough. This kind of understanding. And then also there will be distrust to other people as well. Whenever someone utters your name, you will run and listen. What are they talking about? They must be gossiping. They must be talking something ill about me. Because what good can they say about me? And then in the extreme expression of that vritti, the flow of the mind becomes paranoid. He thinks that he suspects everybody. Or they're plotting against me. Or these people cannot be trusted. Suspects everybody. And then tries to control also. This is kind of control freak tendency. I try to keep everything under control. Everything should be predicted. Thing should be known in advance. I cannot just relax and let things happen. I cannot just let things happen and then I respond to those things. No, I am too inconfident to do that. I try to control everything in advance. So that kind of control freak tendency is there also at the Swadhisthana Chakra. You know, life will always disappoint people of Swadhisthana Chakra because life never acts according to our whims. We may plan 1,000 plans, but life will still do something else. We can have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, but life will make plan A, B, C, D. And then the enjoyment of life is to be able to respond to life. Something happens. You're not freaking out because it is not according to your preconceived notion. But you respond. It's just like you're taking a board to go to the beach and to do the surfing, you know, with the board over the waves. And then wave can never go according to your preconceived plan. The wave is always going the way it pleased to go. And then you adjust yourself to that wave. But Swadhisthana Chakra is the state of mind where you exist in a kind of capsule. You exist in kind of cocoon. And you are not interacting with the world. And your idea of the world is very different from actual world. You have some in the mind, some picture in the mind, which does not actually suit with the external world. I will talk about that a little bit later in the next vritti. So, deep in confidence, you are not believing in yourself, and then you are not believing in others. So that's why trying to control everything, anything and everything. These people, they try to peep through the crack in the wall. They hear, they listen, they check emails, they check SMS. So this kind of behavior. Then there is murcha. Murcha means stupor. Stupor. When the mind becomes blank and you cannot think anything. You cannot decide, you cannot think. There is no clarity in the mind. Mind is just like a hazy, it's like a foggy. You are not able to come up with ideas, to come up with the decisions. So that kind of state is called murcha, the mental stupor. And sometimes it is extreme. The mind becomes completely paralyzed, like one time I saw, and also external expression becomes completely paralyzed. One time I saw in a train, there was a couple, a husband and wife. And the wife was very pushy, and somehow she was unhappy with the husband, so she was pushing him. She was following very simple, straightforward logic. She was asking him questions. My dear, have you married me? Yes, I did. Did you promise that you will provide everything for me? Money, clothes, food, living place? Yes, I did that. And then final question, killing him. Where is the money? That point, man freaks out. He goes into that frozen state. He just like, his eyes, they kind of shut down. They become like two crystals of glass. They're no more human eyes. And he's just staring at one point. And she's going around him, hey, where are you? Are you listening to me? And he's just like this. So that is called stupor. You kind of you sever the connection between yourself and the external world, because the external world is too painful. You are unable to change, and the world is requiring from you that internal change, and you shut down the connection to prevent that attempts of the external world to change you. You stop that. You stop the communication. And then you are living in your bubble of imagination. You are living in a world where the round things you consider to be rectangular. You see something round, but you think it is rectangular in your own mental conception. You shut down your mind. You don't anymore respond. So that is the vritti. In psychology, they call it denial. Oh, I have no problem. But you are an alcoholic. No, I'm not an alcoholic. Sometimes I drink. I don't have any problem. You understand what I mean? So it is hard for this kind of people. Because it is a very ancient way to survive. Like the dinosaurs. If the small dinosaur is running for his life and the big dinosaur is catching up on him, all of a sudden that force of Swadisthana Chakra starts to work, and then the small dinosaurs become paralyzed out of fear, just paralyzed, and become frozen. Mind doesn't work, the body doesn't work. And the big dinosaur is like, where is my prey? Anybody seen? It was just here, I cannot see. Because the eyes, they perceive the movement. And when the movement is not there, then we cannot perceive. And then maybe there is a chance that he will save himself, that small dinosaur. So in the reptilian mind, there is this vritti of stupor. Even now you have seen, I think, crocodiles. They're just staying like that. You don't know whether it is alive or not. Or the lizard. It can just stay in one position for one day. And then turn a little bit. 5 minutes like this. And then stay another day. So that's stupor. Extreme expression, it is even the body becomes stiff. One time we had a kitten, like a cat. We have a retreat center in the forest. So cat has come to us, and then we were feeding that cat, but she still remained like a wild one. And she delivered her kitten somewhere, nobody knew. And that kitten, sometimes we see it comes to eat also. But everyone is curious, everyone wants to catch that kitten and play with it. But the kitten is very frightened of the human company. Somehow, one time we managed to catch him. We want to catch him and, oh, it's so nice, a kitten. But the kitten is not happy with our, expressions of joy. He's first trying to fight, to scratch us. But we hold him firmly. And then when he understood that he cannot do anything with us, then he just started to become frozen. His muscles became like a stone. And then the one who was holding that kitten, he became so like himself afraid. Oh, what have I done to the poor thing? He just put it down on the earth. And then slowly, the control of the body started to be regained by that kitten. And then he would move like, and then finally he ran away. So imagine that. When this vritti goes out of proportion, out of order, then it brings that complete suspension of the mental activity and then physical activity. In the light option, in a light way, it just makes the mind stiff. The mind is dominated by dogma. What is dogma? Dogma is the fixed idea. You have accepted a certain worldview, certain outlook, and whatever happens in the external world, you just don't accept. One time I was attending a lecture of so-called spiritual teacher, and he was telling, oh, nowadays is a Kali Yuga, a dark age, and we're becoming more and more stupid. With every generation, human beings become more and more stupid. You imagine such a fact, I will prove it to you. Even 500 years ago, people knew that the earth is flat. But now, this knowledge is lost. And then there is a silence in the hall, in the lecture hall, and everyone is just trying to comprehend what he just said. But that is the state of mind where you refuse to respond to the world. You have an imaginary idea, and then you become committed to that idea, you become devoted to that idea. It's a kind of dogmatic thinking, religious thinking. The scripture says this, it must be so. I am not willing to review my worldview. I'm not willing to review it. I'm just stiff on that. So that dogma is dominating our world in the sphere of religion, in the sphere of politics, in the sphere of economics, in the sphere of culture, in the sphere of education. Everywhere and everywhere the dogma is playing the crucial role. And that's why the humanity is progressing along the path of progress. The progress is painfully slow due to that dogma, because we are not willing to respond with the external reality. So that is the vritti, murcha, the stupor, the inertness of the mind. Whatever was put there inside when the mind was tender, when I was a child, I have got some blocks or blockages of information, and then I believe in that to be truth, and then I never change my ideas. So yeah, that kind of religious attitude. You know, the most favorite religions of the Swadhisthana Chakra, what? Conspiracy theories. They suspect everyone. Oh, something is going, somebody is hiding the truth from us, somebody is plotting against us. Swadhisthana Chakra people, they really love the conspiracy theories. And they really see the world in a dark kind of tones. And they feel very insecure in this world. They feel that the world is a hostile environment. Okay? And then there is this vritti called krurata. Krurata means crudeness, the crude manners. It means that you are behaving in such a way that hurting other people, but you don't feel the feelings of others. It is kind of indifference to the feelings of others, lack of culture, lack of civilization. You are not civilized. It's not civilized behavior. For example, someone is lying on the ground and you are walking, and you walk by. Why did you walk by? Why didn't you help that person? What person? You will not even see. You will not even understand you have to do something. Completely indifferent. One my friend, he is from... one time he came to the very developed country. And he said, I was driving a car and I was asking a person, you know, nearby, excuse me, how do I get to such and such place? Excuse me, can you please tell? 3 or 4 times he asked. Then he said, I realized that the man just simply ignores me. He's just simply showing this, he's ignoring him. Indifference. That's called krurata vritti. You do not respond basically to the world. You don't want to interact with the world. You don't care for anything. That is indifference. And then finally there is sarvanasha. Sarvanasha is a horror, is a fear. But such a strong, powerful fear is when the thought of imminent death, of annihilation occurs in your mind. I'm going to die. Then you become, you know, that emotion creates that stupor. It creates this stiffness, and you just become frozen. You may experience this emotion if you come to the very high building, skyscraper, and then you come to the edge and you look down. You will see the endless is very abyss, no? That moment you will feel here at the level of genital organs, you will feel some energy, and you feel that you become like your muscles, they become stiff and you become kind of paralyzed. So that is sarvanasha, the fear of annihilation. There are many kinds of fear. Some fears are here, some here, some here. The fear of Swadhisthana Chakra is very strong. It is a horror. Those who sometimes experience that fear, they say it is a fear more terrible than death. one man, he was telling me that he is seeing these nightmares, and in the nightmares he just experiencing that terrible fear. He was seeking for the advice, what can I do against that? He said, it is better to die than experience that kind of fear. So here at the Manipura chakra, the fear is activating. It motivates you either to fight or to run away. And here is just an anxiety, is a worry. Oh, what will happen, what will happen, what will happen? This kind of attitude. So, if you find like 3 types of Anahata, Swadhisthana and Manipura chakra people, and if there is some calamity, what the Swadhisthana chakra people will do? You will find him in some closet, sitting like this, immobile, and you will spend lots of energy to take him out of there. The Manipura chakra you will not find. He already ran away and sitting in some tree, 3 kilometers away. And Anahata chakra, he is running around and asking everybody, what will happen? Is the police coming? Oh, you know, like that. Worrying, mentally very, very agitated and active. Yeah, so this is 3 kinds of fears. Okay, I think you understood the gist of what a Swadhisthana chakra is. I think you are getting an idea. It is connected with the liquid element. It is controlling the reproductive system. It is hosting 6 emotions, which is characteristics to reptiles. By studying reptiles, you can understand Swadhisthana chakra. You know, if you're communicating with crocodile, and if crocodile will cut off, you know, cut your hand with his mouth, then and if you try to shame that crocodile, oh crocodile, why did you do like this? I loved you, I cared for you, but you harmed me so much. The crocodile will not understand, because the emotion of shame and this type of complicated emotions are not known to him. He will say, I wanted to eat and I ate. What's wrong with that? You know, like there is this mafia slogan, nothing personal, pure business. Sorry, pal, I didn't mean to harm you. I just wanted to take, and I take what is mine. I wanted to eat and I ate. Sorry that you have come on the way. So that's psychology. I don't really care what will happen around. I just care for myself. But when the Swadhisthana chakra is developed, it gives the sense of beauty. It gives the beauty to the person. It gives psychological ability. You understand the emotions of others. You are very tactful. You are very considerate. Yeah, and you have very healthy reproductive system, strong reproductive system. So how to improve Swadhisthana chakra? First of all, we should try to keep the nerves of Swadhisthana chakra calm, not agitated. So the nerves around the reproductive organs, they should be kept calm, not agitated. Because once the reproductive system becomes active, it's not a small thing to produce a new life. So it's quite a great deal of energy needed. So, but once you excite the reproductive system, once it starts to prepare itself for reproductive action, reproductive process, then tremendous amount of energy is spent by the body for that. And nowadays, lots of excitement comes through what we see, through what we hear, because our culture is very is saturated with the erotic feelings, and that stimulates very much the Swadhisthana chakra. So we should try to avoid as much. I mean, I'm not saying that we should completely, how to say, not to have that that aspect of life. I'm just saying that we should not spend unnecessary energy to that. It is considered in yoga then the reproductive function can be utilized without harming the body and mind 4 times a month, not more than that. Okay, and then unnecessary excitement should be avoided. Yeah, so the prashraya vritti, the seeking pleasure mentality, will be under control. And also, yeah, just to prashraya should be controlled whenever we can. Like if we to practice the moderation. If we eat something sweet, eat little bit of that sweet. If you eat tasty food, eat moderate amounts. So the practice of moderation is very important for developing Swadhisthana chakra. Is one thing. Then to keep the nerves of this area calm, we use very, very healthy and scientific practice. When we go to the toilet to pass urine, after that reproductive system is warmed up, the heat is created there, and also some urine is there, so some impurity is there. And if we allow that to continue, then the bacteria will multiply and then will create more impurity, and that impurity will cause excitement in the nerves. It will irritate the nerves, so it should be avoided. So after the toilet, we pour the cold water over the genital organ and simultaneously cleaning and cooling it down. The warmth means energy, means movement. Movement means excitement. Excitement means stimulation of the areas of the brain connected with this. And then the brain will start sending energy, start to mobilize the body to support the reproductive system. And then it wear off, it will wear out the reproductive system, it will unnecessary, how to say, make it old, and also it will waste the energy of the body. So we should use this practice. And once I started to use, I saw, you know, in yoga center, I came and I see, I've seen the bottle, just a bottle, plastic bottle staying in the toilet. And I asked, what the hell this bottle does in the toilet? And the brother said, you know, sometimes I'm sitting in the toilet and I become so thirsty that I must have that bottle. We laughed with him, and then he explained. He said that after toilet is good to pour the cold water over the organ, and also after defecation to clean very, very thoroughly. So when there is no impurity, there is no stimulation of Swadhisthana chakra, and it remains calm. And it is easier to control all the emotions of Swadhisthana chakra, is one thing. Second is male should use a special underwear. It's called lungota or kaupina. That kaupina underwear is the most comfortable thing as an underwear. It is a very tight piece of cloth that fixes the genital organ in a certain position. If there is no movement, there is no stimulation. First time when I tried, I was 19 years old, and then I got curious. I saw that other brothers, they wear some strange underwear. I asked, what's that? They say, oh, you don't know? It is really a powerful thing. So I acquired one, and I put it on. And I remember, I came to my university, and before that, I remember that state of mind. My mind was so foggy and so hazy. It was like this, you know, very, very, very unfocused, and very much dominated by, you know, attractions, you know, the girls and all this. And all of a sudden, I feel myself next to the demigod. I'm so clear and so strong in my mind, and completely pure mind. Just no distractions in the mind. I just felt, wow, I can do anything and everything, as if my, you know, brain just accelerated so much. Wow, I didn't expect that simple underwear can cause such a transformation in my mind. Since then I am wearing that. It really makes difference. You know, some people I ask Some people, they report similar experience as myself. Some people, they say, oh, it is not convenient. But most of the people, they say it is quite convenient and it really helps. They report that it is really helpful for them to control the Swadhisthana chakra and have a more clear and sober mind. So that is another one. Then your intestines should be clean all the time. The presence of stuff inside also stimulates the nerves within the intestines, and it kind of keeps the mind down at the level of the lower chakras. So it is very difficult. Those who are meditating, they know if you wake up in the morning and you could not go to the toilet for some reason, it will become very, very difficult to concentrate. Even to sit straight will be very difficult. You will feel yourself weak because the toxins are there, and just your mind cannot get elevated. So there should not be constipation. The bowels should always be clean. And those clean bowels, how to achieve? Swadhisthana chakra controls what? Water element. If you drink enough, sufficient water, that is also balancing Swadhisthana chakra. Sufficient water means at least 3 liters, 2-3 liters per day we need to drink. Water purifies the body, purifies the cells, purifies the intestine, purifies the digestive system, and it is very, very good for health. Drinking water itself is a powerful health practice. My good friend, he is a medical doctor, and he's saying, one of my patients, she suffers from asthma, and I gave her a simple piece of advice. You please drink water. Drink water, this much water every day. And then next time she comes, she is not using any more hormones. She is completely cured. She said, just by drinking water, I became completely okay. I became completely fine. You know, water is life, is a miraculous effect. So by drinking water, we restore our youthfulness, we restore our beauty, and we really support the proper function of Swadhisthana chakra. Then avoid the food which is stimulating the lower, the propensities of the lower chakras. What are those foods? Mostly non-vegetarian foods. Meat, fish, alcohol, tobacco, onion, garlic, eggs, this type of products. It's called tamaguna products, tamaguna foods. We should not, we should try as much as we can avoid those, because it really, the life becomes so much easier without those foods. Those foods, they really stimulate, especially like garlic, onion, they stimulate lower chakras, and it becomes very, very difficult to control them. Without onion and garlic, people become much more smart, they become much more gentle, and they become much more clear also. That's my experience also. When people come to learn meditation, and if I sense the smell of garlic, then I rather not teach meditation. I would say, can you please, not to eat for 2-3 days, then you come. Because person cannot understand, cannot grasp the subtle concepts of spirituality. Because meditation, like advanced stages of meditation, when you're explaining, it requires an intuition, it requires the concentration. So, and the person cannot grasp. The mind is just too superficial. So, yeah, I see the effect is very strong. In myself, if I have some, like for at least now 19 years, I have not eaten these foods. But sometimes, maybe 3 years ago, I got a little piece of, I think, garlic. Somewhere in the spice it was present. It was a vegetarian food in the flight, and they put some, I think, in the spice. So I ate and I felt something strange. And then after 20 minutes, I started to feel aftertaste in my mouth. And I understood, no, I have got some garlic inside. And then I felt very strange. I felt my emotions become numb, my inspiration is gone, and my mind is moving very difficult. Is not sharp anymore. So, yeah, it has a powerful effect on us. We should avoid. Yeah, drinking water, eating proper food, and then asanas. Asanas, what asanas are there? The most powerful is Gomukhasana. Gomukhasana is called cow's head posture. Gomukhasana. That asana, first time I did, actually asanas, Swadhisthana Chakra is it is static, and it takes time to improve its function. So if Manipura Chakra, you can within 3 days completely transform the energies here. But in Swadhisthana Chakra, you have to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then you can really feel strong effect. So I was doing Gomukhasana for 6 months, and then really my world has changed. Really the mind started to work differently. It's the most powerful, in my experience. Then there is Shalabhasana, also strong, the locust posture. Then there is Dirga Pranam, Yoga Mudra, and Bhujangasana. These 3 I have given you in the basic meditation course. I think you are doing them already. You might experience the effect already. I was doing yoga classes before, and one girl, she said, "Dada, my whole life I was suffering with a painful cycle. Whenever the cycle would come, I would just be, excruciating pain. And I'm doing asanas just for 1 month, and the pain is gone. It's a miracle for me." Yes, miracle for her, but not for me, because these 3 basic asanas, they balance the lower chakras and restoring the health, the physical health, restoring the health and the beauty and the harmony within the body and mind. So those are also powerful. Shalabhasana, Gomukhasana, Dirga Janushirasana, Utkata Paschimottanasana. These asanas are also good. You can look for them in my... under this video I will mention. First, if I have not yet recorded in English, then I will just put links in the Russian, and then later I will replace. So I hope by now it's already replaced and everything in English, okay? But if not, at least in Russian you can see it. At least you can have an idea what posture looks like. Then there is this breathing exercise. You lie down on the corpse posture, just like this. You lie down on the floor. Relax. It should be done in the morning. Should never done in the evening or afternoon. It requires the morning energies. And then you focus at the root of the genital organ, or the 6 fingers below the navel point. Then you imagine that you are breathing in. While breathing in, while taking the breath in, air in, you feel that you are taking the entire energy of the cosmos within your Swadhisthana Chakra. And while breathing out, you're letting go of that energy, and that energy returns and merges with the infinite ocean of energy. And you do 7 breathing cycles, means 7 breathing in, 7 breathing out. That is called Amhashi Mudra, or water breathing. It also improves the function of Swadhisthana Chakra. Okay? So Swadhisthana Chakra is controlling water element, is concerned with the pleasure, is concerned with beauty, concerned with harmony, concerned with tactfulness, psychology. These are all good qualities of Swadhisthana Chakra. If not controlled, then if weak, then strong, crude, ruthless emotions will function within your mind, creating disharmony in yourself and around yourself. That person becomes completely egoistic and acts in a very selfish way, and actually in a very stupid way, That's why the people of Swadhisthana Chakra, they cannot progress very far, they cannot become very successful. So we should bring under control the Swadhisthana Chakra. How to bring under control? The asanas I mentioned: Gomukhasana, Shalabhasana, Dirgha Pranam, Yoga Mudra, Bhujangasana, Janushirasana, Utkata Paschimottanasana. Breathing exercise called Ambhasha Mudra. You breathe in and breathe out through Swadhisthana Chakra. Swadhisthana Chakra is located 6 fingers below the navel point. And it controls 6 vrittis. 6 vrittis is Prashraya, pleasure-seeking tendency, then Avagya, disdain, belittlement of others, then there is this Murcha, psychic stupor, then there is Krurata, crude behavior, crude manners, then there is Sarvanasha. Sarvanasha is the fear of annihilation, and then there is this the inferiority complex, or distrust to others and disbelief in yourself. So yeah, I think the complete picture of Swadhisthana Chakra is given. It is enough for now. We can further return to the topic and have some more discussion about, like, narrow down the area and have more understanding of the details. Yeah, if you like the video, you please like it, and if you like it very much and you feel it is worth sharing, you share it. Subscribe to this channel, and you can share with friends in social networks, in your YouTube channel. I am very appreciative of that, thankful of that, and thank you for your attention, thank you for your time. I hope you enjoy, and I've enjoyed being with you. Thank you. Namaskar.